Is it playing? Oh, sure. Okay. Sure.
Beautiful. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center Spokane, where we are all about our mission of transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in our world. I am Sally Sledge, and I am honored to be the platform assistant this morning. First, please check your cell phones. I know you all have them. And please make sure they are on silent mode. Thank you. As always, we want to begin our time together by sharing our opening affirmation. I will say it once, and then I will ask you to repeat it with me. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the world, God the Good. Together, there is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. And this is Unity's foundation principle. One presence, one power, one life living through and as each one of us. This morning, we will be hearing from our transformational speaker, Amber McKenzie, and her message is titled, The Lord's Prayer, unlocking its transformational power. Amber will also be leading us in today's meditation, and we're being blessed, have already been blessed, with live music this morning by Janice Mayfield on the harp, and a little bit later, Scott Jameson also on the piano. Thank you, Janice and Scott. It's wonderful to have live music again. And now it's time for some news you can use with Hank Breckling, followed by a board update by Joan Breckling.
The Brecklings are here and we're taking over. Okay, here we go. First announcement is, I'm part of the youth ministry function here, and normally I wouldn't be able to be here, I'd be with the kids, but we haven't quite started that back up yet. But we've been having Zoom events, several since last fall with the kids, which has been very successful, fun to connect with them again. But this coming, on the 25th of April, we're going to have a live in-person event with the kids at Manitou Park. And so we hope that your families will come. Anybody can come who would like to join us. It's going to be on the splash pad, which is on Toccoa and 25th Avenue. So if you have, and it's at 2 p.m. on April 25th. So if you have any questions, you can contact Reverend Jackie at the church here on the website. Our church is still having an ongoing clothing drive. Our bag count is growing daily. Help us keep it up. So you can bring your gently loose clothes, put them in a bag of some sort, and you can just leave them in the entryway out there in the inside space. And we're doing this through, let's see here, May 5th. And here's our COVID tip of the day. I don't know if you knew this, but there are specific regulations you have to meet in order to keep the center open. And so these chairs, if you're at home, you may not be able to see, you can't see the chairs, but here, these chairs are placed in these kind of settings for a specific reason. So we're asking that people just sit in the chairs as they are and not move them together to make more, because we're doing this to comply with regulations. So B and Amber both work hard to ensure that we are in compliance with Washington State COVID spacing requirements, and we sure appreciate your help in doing this. Now, something new I need to say about, it's really quite exciting. We're starting up in May a new first service. It's an early service. It's going to be at 9 o'clock, and it's a series of different lessons. It's called Spiritual Journeys. It's a meditation service, and it begins with the first Sunday in May. Our first speaker will be Al Koenigsfeld on May 2nd, and then on May 9th we have David McClure with Love Notes from the Universe. I'm actually the coordinator for this, and I want to tell you it's a really wonderful thing. The first Sunday, Al is using the power of it, and this is actually, if you don't know it, it's a powerful process to help people heal and restore. So if you have issues you want to work on, just come, and it's a prayer process for people gathered together in consciousness, and it's the old where two or more gathered principle. Energy is generated by that, and you bring it in. It's really quite powerful. And then David McClure, our Reverend Emeritus, is doing a thing called Love Notes from the Universe. Is that right? Yep. And his process is about having people come and he's going to be sharing things he's learned in his process. He's asking people to come and share that too, so you can come and share things you've learned. But that's the next one. There's more scheduled in the month. The thing I want to tell you about is each time there'll be a different person. This is not like a group you join or something, so it's just like a regular service. And just come and meditate. It'll be a wonderful, deep experience and something I think you'll enjoy. So again, that starts the first May 2nd, first Sunday in May, and then again on May 9th. And we ask that you arrive at 8:55, and it's not much setup, and it will be held in the chapel. So please come. No sign up necessary, just come. Then next Sunday, our transformational speaker is Karen Dunmore, and her message is titled, The Music Changed. Karen will be sharing insights from a class she's taking from Ken Wilber and the realizations she's gained about expanding consciousness. Karen will also be previewing a workshop she's planning based on his work, so please tune in for that talk. And the following Sunday, May 2nd, we have Julia Hayes, who will be a new speaker for us. Julia is a spiritual force with the soul of a mystic, the creativity of an artist, and is a dedicated leader with a strong commitment to community and bringing it all forward. She is the owner of Souls Center, a spiritual classroom in Kendall Yards, whose focus is on the spiritual empowerment for those seeking guidance and understanding of their own divine mystery. So please, you can tune in for her or come for her transformational message on May 2nd. And then finally, after the service today, we have our reflections, observations, and inspiration Zoom call. So Zoom on in, and Amber, our speaker, will be there today so you can communicate more with her, talk with her about what she said, and get more information. So we hope those of you who are at home can do that, or if you're here and you're fast, can go home and get on. Please do that. And now I'd like to introduce to Breckling number 2, my wife, Joan.
We have debates about who's number 1 and who's number 2. Okay, well, this is a lot of news today, news you can use for generally, and now we'd like to share some news from the board. There's been lots going on lately. We have, of course, we are in the midst of a ministerial search. I completed our posting, I think, a little over 1.5 months ago. We've had 2 applications so far, and those are being looked at and processed, and we're anticipating more candidates as well. So we'll keep you posted on that, but in the meantime, we're just going to keep moving along and expanding and evolving as we are called to do. I needed to announce that Lisa Zuber, who has been our board treasurer, has needed to resign for personal reasons, and I just want to thank Lisa, if you're watching, for all that you've given to us over this last year. So we are in the process of identifying another board member to replace Lisa. Let's see, one of the things that's been happening lately is that we've been making lots of infrastructure improvements by necessity. We've replaced several furnaces. There are multiple furnaces in this building, and we've been able to replace 3 of those, I think. We've also, we're doing computer upgrades and phone system upgrades, which have been needed to be done for a long time. So we're really getting ourselves into the 21st century, and we are grateful to everyone who's supporting us in that process. Another thing that's happened is that we have been given a second draw, or maybe it's third draw, I don't remember, PPP loan, so that will help support part of our payroll for about the next 6 months. And then that will turn into a grant at the end of that time. So that's really good news. And then finally, I wanted to just extend thanks to the landscape team. Is there anybody here present today who is on that team? If you would you please stand? I'm not sure any of them are here. Oh, good. Yes. Hi, Shirley. This team meets every week. They work hard. They also enjoy each other's company, and they are instrumental in just making sure that we have a wonderful, beautiful, and safe place. We have several large trees that I understand are leaning in the wrong directions following the windstorms we've been having that are going to be removed, and we have had anonymous donors contribute the almost $3,000 that it will take to have that done. So thank you to those people who have made that very generous donation. So now I'd like to introduce Amber McKenzie. She doesn't really need introduction, but as you know, she is our interim administrator here. She's been on the board, but more importantly, she's just one of the most authentic and creative and heart-centered people that I know. And I just am so, we are so blessed to have her here and supporting our ministry and leading our ministry in the way that she is. She really is a key player in our process of evolving into a mission-centric ministry. So I introduce Amber to you.
Wow, thank you, Joan, so much. I appreciate that. I'm loving what I'm doing, and I'm loving being here this morning with all of you. Good morning. Okay, let me make sure yep. Okay, well, I haven't been up here for a while, so can everybody hear me? Okay, good. I've got a very loud voice, so. So this morning, as mentioned, I want to talk about the Lord's Prayer as a metaphysical and spiritual tool on our journey of transformation, because isn't that what we're all here for? But first, we need to address what is spiritual change? And what is spiritual transformation? And why is it even necessary? And also, why is it so freaking difficult? And so here's a little meme to explain why. So you see here it says, me regretting asking God to show me what's blocking my higher self as my attention is forced to see and experience shadow beliefs I had planned to ignore. That's right, it's hard. Spiritual transformation is hard. And it involves facing our own shadow beliefs, and that is almost never very pretty or comfortable to either witness or experience. I think we can all attest to that. But they are all necessary on our journey of transformation. And especially for many of us, this past year has been all about kind of a forced transformation. In that this year has disrupted our normalcy, our routine, that we were used to doing the things the way that we'd always done them. At least that's how I was. And so what got unearthed was a variety of challenges that were, pretty uncomfortable and likely not very welcome. At least that's how I felt. But this is all required for true transformation. It is also something we here at Unity Spiritual Center Spokane are experiencing as we navigate through this time of ministerial transition, as well as COVID-19 and all that comes with it. We are blessed, I think many of us can attest to this as well, with the opportunity at this time to more fully develop as individuals in our own personal lives, as well as in our bigger spiritual community that we are all a part of. I personally am very blessed and feel very thankful to have this community, especially during this time. Transformation is a requirement of living a spiritual life, which is why it's incorporated in our mission statement, right? Transforming lives. That's the first thing we say. But what does that even mean? Okay, so I had to look this up because, I always do that. I'm like, I wonder what the definition is out there of transformation. So this is what we find. So transformation is a thorough or dramatic change in form or appearance. A metamorphosis during the life cycle of an animal, think butterfly. It's a very good metaphor, right? And also the last one was the induced or spontaneous change of one element into another by a nuclear process. Again, that sounds very dramatic, right? So then I was like, okay, that sounds pretty good. That I could see that as being transformation, but what is spiritual transformation? So I looked this up as well because I thought, I wonder what kind of definitions are out there. So according to one researcher who did some serious research on spiritual transformation, that sounds like a really fun research topic if you ask me. His name is Kenneth Parament, and he, refers to spiritual transformation as a fundamental change in the place of the sacred as an object of significance in life. And secondarily, to a fundamental change in the pathways the individual takes to the sacred. I like that part. The pathway the individual takes to the sacred, whatever the sacred is for that person, that individual. So what this says to me, how I interpret this, is that spiritual transformation is a big old shift in direction. Okay, it's a shift in direction from following an ego path, that might have sacred things as, let's say, approval or money or, things that maybe aren't as sacred as a path to God. Okay, so a path to what is sacred to me. This transformation might also be a shift from the brain to the heart, from the human experience that we all are here to have, to a more spiritual experience. However it happens for us, one thing is for sure. It is a holy shift. And I love this expression because, yes, it is a holy shift. And it does not come easy, breezy, steady, predictable, neat, or tidy. That's not how it's supposed to be. Very little learning or growth comes from easy breezy, steady. No, instead, real spiritual transformation comes from the events happening around us and in us. Through the pain, difficulty, relationships, illnesses, marriages, divorces, death, grief, beginnings, endings, and those life experiences that force some sort of, nuclear process, but alchemical process within us. That's where it happens, is within us. Spiritual transformation is the intentional act of surrendering and allowing the sacred to guide us through the pain, triggers, discomfort. Whether we call the sacred God, goddess, spirit, soul, the universe, Jesus, Buddha, Allah, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that metamorphosis from who you thought you were supposed to be to who the sacred knows you are here to be. It is discovering that truth and your soul's promise to God. We all made a promise to God when we came here. We made a promise to God and to ourselves. And so when we're spiritually transformed, we follow that path. So the other thing I love is that we are all on our own unique spiritual path, and it doesn't look like anybody else's. Every single one of them is different, they're unique, and it is meant to be valued and honored, no matter how it looks from our perspective, right? And as a spiritual community here, we are going through our own spiritual transformation, and we currently do not have a minister guiding our holy shifts. So it's up to us as a community to navigate this pathway for ourselves as individuals and collectively as a community coming together for a higher purpose. Through this type of intentional navigation comes spiritual transformation. Yes, there is going to be uncertainty and questions, and there's going to be triggers, because that's what change does. It triggers us. But there are also the opportunities that Spirit is offering for us to guide us. Those triggers are for us to guide us. I have to keep remembering that myself. And when each of us as individuals are willing to be intentional, to stay open to Spirit guidance, and to doing our own hard spiritual work, then and only then can true spiritual transformation take place. Then and only then can we release that societal programming, shadow beliefs, and strong ego connection that taught us the lies about who we came here to be, so that we can shed all of that and start living the life we were meant to live. Through Spirit, through the sacred, through God, through whatever you call that sacred part of you. As mentioned, my talk title today is The Lord's Prayer, unlocking its transformational power as you navigate your own spiritual transformation. And as we navigate through times of change and transformation and our holy shifts, having a powerful and transformative prayer practice can be what keeps us grounded, centered, and open to receiving guidance and taking authentic action from Spirit rather than from ego. In addition, this prayer in particular is truly amazing in that it unites virtually every single faction of Christian religions worldwide. There are over 2 billion people who are able to recite this prayer in their own native language at any given time. Can you imagine 2 billion people reciting this prayer all at the same time? I mean, I could already feel the chills. This is nearly 1/3 of the world's population. Now, granted, if you would have asked me a year ago if I knew the Lord's Prayer, I probably would have said, I guess so. Because most of us probably memorized it at some point. I know in my strict religious cult upbringing, we learned it, we memorized it, we said it. But the words never really connected to me. And the meaning was of no interest due to my kind of disdain for the dogma and the Bible teachings I grew up with that were forced on me. So as a result, I sort of just lumped the prayer in with the rest of the crap I learned, and I didn't really give it much credence or much attention, honestly. And I know I'm not alone. Many of us have this prayer and its words memorized in our heads, but very few of us have it imprinted in our hearts, myself included, until recently. So that all changed when I read the following book titled The Source of Miracles: 7 Steps to Transforming Your Life Through the Lord's Prayer. And this is a book written by a woman named Kathleen McGowan. And for those of you who don't know who she is, I didn't either, she is actually an ordained minister and the author of a trilogy of historical, esoteric, fictional books about Jesus and Mary Magdalene, which are based on over 20 years of her own historical research, spanning 4 continents. So she went to 4 continents to get this research. And I fell in love with her writing and her books, which opened my eyes to the truth of Jesus and his true teachings on love, as well as to Mary Magdalene and her legacy after Jesus died. I trust McGowan's research and her perspective on the divine masculine and divine feminine aspects of Christ's teachings, which is why I decided to read this book about the Lord's Prayer. I trusted her. But I was a little bit leery at first. But in this book, McGowan describes how this perfect prayer, she calls it, was authored by Jesus himself, as indicated in both the books of Matthew and Luke, and in response to his disciples asking him to teach them how to pray. His disciples asked him repeatedly in the Bible, how do we pray? And the Lord's Prayer was Jesus' consistent response. McGowan contends that there is no mystery here, no secret. Jesus literally shouted from a mountaintop the only magic words we will ever need to live a life of faith, joy, service, abundance, and love. It is a perfectly constructed blueprint for spiritual transformation and for miracles. And it is our greatest spiritual gift from the great spiritual giver. Now, I've been kind of using this material for probably the last, I want to say at least 6 to 8 months, I guess. Maybe it's even been a year. I don't even know. But I've been able to really implement different portions of it in my life, in my prayer practice, and I've felt expanded as a result, which is what we would obviously want with a prayer practice, to feel that expansion. In addition, thanks to her extensive research on the lives of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, she was led to Chartres Cathedral in France, which is dedicated to Mary Magdalene and was once a great spiritual school. So just imagine this huge cathedral, and at the center of the cathedral is a massive labyrinth right there on the floor. And in the middle of this labyrinth is a 6-petal rose. You can see it up there on the screen. This labyrinth and rose are said to serve as a portal that leads to the ultimate and most priceless treasure, spiritual transformation. So people go there all year and they walk this labyrinth, and people have really amazing spiritual experiences as they do it. So according to McGowan's research, she discovered the following in relationship to the 6-petal rose at the center of the labyrinth. Oh, she found the relationship between, the 6-petal rose and the Lord's Prayer. She writes, "The secret of the rose with 6 petals is its perfect correlation to the Lord's Prayer. Each petal represents a different teaching found within the prayer, and the central circle represents the essence and wellspring of love, as love must feed into all aspects of our lives in order for us to achieve true fulfillment. The rose is the symbol of the perfect spiritual practice left to us by Jesus. It is our map to the source of miracles." So let's get to the Lord's Prayer, and the translated version that she utilizes in the book, because there are many versions of this prayer, as you know. And so the one that she utilizes is the one that she believes, based on her research, is the most closely connected to, the intention of Jesus and her translations. So let's read it together, starting with Our Father in heaven, may your name be hallowed. May your kingdom come, may your will be done, as in heaven, so upon earth. Give us today our sufficient bread, and forgive us our debts, as we have also forgiven our debtors. And do not bring us into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Oh, and there is more, but this is all I've got. This is what we got to work with. So the Lord's Prayer contains 6 primary teachings, with a 7th that must be present throughout the practice, and that is love. So you can see it there on the screen. Love is right in the middle. The 6 main teachings correspond with the 6 petals of the rose, with the 7th in the center radiating through all the others. That is obviously love. McGowan strongly recommends that we take these lessons in order, as they are in the prayer, and as each connects into the next. For example, you would not want to jump right into the 4th petal, which is abundance, until you've worked through the first 3, faith, surrender, and service. So there's very much an order to this, and she goes into more detail, of course, in the book. Yeah, so she spends 1 chapter of the book on each of these petals. And I don't have enough time to outline them fully, but I do want to share a summary. So let's start with that first petal, faith. So the first petal corresponds with the line, Our Father in heaven, may your name be hallowed. Faith is first because it is the foundation for transformational spiritual practice and is the starting point for all prayer. I think we can all agree to that. You must have faith when you go into prayer. Now, to be honest, I never liked the idea of Our Father. It felt very patriarchal to me, and thankfully McGowan addresses this concern in the book. She says, God is our benevolent parent and is like the perfect, loving, and protective Father who loves us unconditionally and without compromise. This distinction relates to the archetypal nature of father and mother, and for me connects to that divine masculine and divine feminine aspect that exists within each and every one of us, regardless of our gender association. And in this case, we are looking at the divine father as provider and divine mother as nurturer. So those archetypes. Both are true, and both are aspects of our own self. So what Jesus was telling us with these 2 simple words, Our Father, is that God is all of ours. Everyone on the planet is a reflection of God. Jesus is also telling us God is not jealous. God is not a tyrant to be feared, but a loving and protective essence that provides. An essence. McGowan goes on to share the importance of the words in heaven. We as humans chose to come here to earth to learn and remember who we came here to be through the sacred, while God remains in heaven to teach. And this is divine order. May your name be hallowed. Hallowed, as we know, means holy. And in this sense, the line is saying that each and every time you invoke God's love and presence into your daily living, you are creating a sacred space in which to live. The next petal is surrender, which corresponds to, may your kingdom come, may your will be done. These 2 lines of the prayers are your promise to create heaven on earth. Every time you recite the words, your kingdom come, you are committing to making the world a better place through your relationship with the sacred. Your will be done are the words that will help you to surrender your more ego-driven desires and follow the destiny that you are co-creating with Spirit right now. This also corresponds with the following statement that I often have to repeat to myself, and that is, May my will be divine will. You know, sometimes I think our brains or our, maybe our more ego sides want our wills to be divine will. And then we find out the hard way that, oh, I guess that's not the path. And so what we're trying to do here with may my will be divine will is align the two. Align the two. So that God's will, divine will, are all connected to our own will. And they so that the shifts can happen instead of the drama. Okay, so the third petal is service. And this corresponds with as in heaven, so upon earth. On the path of service in the third petal, we are asked to create heaven on earth through service to others. The greater our effort towards service, the faster we can and will clean up the mess that we humans have made. It is through service that we effect local and global transformation. She goes on to share another powerful element of divine law, and that is, every good deed neutralizes a bad one. Every act of service eliminates an act of oppression. Every prayer for peace eradicates an impulse of war. Okay, the fourth petal is abundance. And it relates to the line, give us this day our sufficient bread. Spirit wants us to have what we desire. Lack is not our natural state. And when we feel lack, we are spiritually unbalanced. Abundance is our natural state, and it comes effortlessly when we are in harmony with our higher power and fulfilling our promises to the sacred. Okay, the fifth petal is forgiveness and is related to the lines, and forgive us our debts as we have also forgiven our debtors. The inability or reluctance to forgive is our greatest failing as humans. It is the cause of the majority of personal strife we experience, as well as global war. When we hold on to our anger, resentment, or disappointment in other people, we sabotage our own happiness. Forgiveness is the great eraser of destructive emotions, and the more we practice forgiving ourselves and others, the closer we become to God. Now remember, forgiveness is a practice, and it's something we have to implement, I believe, every single day. You can't just forgive once and call her good, turns out. So let's see, the final petal is overcoming. Yep. And correlates to the line. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Okay, so both of these words are trigger words. Temptation and evil, sin, all of those. So it requires a little bit more explanation. Because again, there are a lot of misinterpretations around the words evil and temptation. According to McGowan, evil is not some exterior force or horned devil that will tempt you off your path. She describes evil as that which keeps you from accomplishing your mission and fulfilling your divine promises to God or to the sacred. So that which keeps you from accomplishing your mission and fulfilling your divine promises to the sacred. As such, temptation is anything that causes you to forget your spiritual lessons and leads you away from fulfilling your destiny and keeping your sacred promises to Spirit. This has also been called sin, or missing the mark, as we say in Unity. She goes on to describe the 7 deadly sins that we've all heard about, right? Which were originally, when she looked at translations and really researched it, which were originally referred to as the patterns of evil thought. Those include, do I have it up there? Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Those include ego, anger, envy, complacency, greed, indulgence, and lust. All of which are part of our human experience and are the things that can keep us from accomplishing our soul's mission. But interestingly enough, they are also the triggers that can lead us toward our soul's mission, should we choose to allow it to lead us rather than destroy us. Okay, and finally, the center of the rose, which represents love and which feeds all the petals. So we must have love through all of this. Your faith and surrender must come from your love for the sacred, for yourself, and for your fellow humans. Your service commitments must be carried out with love, not strictly out of duty or because you have to do it. You will attract more abundance in all aspects of your life as you become more loving. And forgiveness comes naturally when you live in love. And finally, overcoming temptation and those things that kick us off of our path are made possible in the places where love is present and strong. In closing, the true secret to creating miracles through a successful prayer practice is constant alignment to your highest source, your reason for being here on earth, your service to God's higher good for the planet and its people. And if there's ever been a time to connect to your soul's purpose and to your mission here on earth, now is that time. And I hope this refreshed version of the Lord's Prayer can help you on your path as it is helping me on mine. So thank you very much. Okay, now I'm excited to invite Janice Mayfield and Scott Jamieson to the stage for our special music today. 2 weeks ago, when I announced the title of this talk, Janice came up to me and said she had written a song several years ago titled Our Sacred Prayer, which is based on the Lord's Prayer. So obviously synchronicities there. So I asked Janice if she would be willing to debut her divinely guided piece for us here today, and she said yes, which I know we are all grateful for. And then following the song, I will be leading us in today's meditation with Janice on harp. So very excited about that. Janice, take it away.
There's an old adage about harpists. The harpist will spend half of their time tuning and the other half playing out of tune. Our Father and our Mother, sacred are your names, Yahweh, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Mother, then Father Sky, Allah, Vishnu, Krishna. Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna. Your sacred ground we walk upon all our day, and your will shall be done, for in truth we are one. And on earth we find heaven. You give us our daily bread, and with open arms you receive us, and with open hearts we receive you. For ours is the oneness and the power of our unity forever and ever.
so beautiful. Thank you, Janice, for sharing that beautiful song. Thank you, Scott, for sharing your gifts with us this morning. Let us now take a moment in meditation to breathe in those beautiful words. As we close our eyes and open our hearts to this everlasting truth, that our Divine Father, our Divine Mother, is the oneness. And each of us has come here to be the one. I invite you to breathe that knowing deep into your heart and soul. As you center yourself into this here and now, present moment. And on your next inhale in, invite the sacred into your presence. Call in that which speaks directly to your heart. God, Goddess, Spirit, Universe, Light, Love, Soul. Whatever the sacred is for you, call it in now. Allow it to fill your being with light and surrender to its transformational power. Now I want you to imagine in your mind's eye that 6-petal rose at the center of the labyrinth. Imagine that labyrinth is your own life, your own spiritual journey with its twists and turns, ups and downs, highs and lows. And let us affirm the prayer Jesus shared with the world over 2,000 years ago. Our Divine Father in heaven, within your sacred and holy name, I stand in faith. May my life be a testament to this faith. May your kingdom come. May your will be done. Through my faith, I surrender. May my will be divine will. As in heaven, so upon earth, I stand in service. I stand in service, Great Spirit, to those I am meant to serve and guide. And I allow myself to be transformed in the process. Give us today our sufficient bread, knowing that abundance is our spiritual birthright when we are in alignment with the sacred. Forgive us our debts, as we have also forgiven our debtors. I stand in forgiveness of myself and others, and I reaffirm this commitment each and every day. But deliver us from evil. I stand now in the power of overcoming that which blocks me from my spiritual path and my soul's promise to you, God. I release and let go of these blocks, and I return them to you with love, as they have guided me on my pathway to the sacred. Let us now take this prayer into the silence. Sweet, loving, divine Mother, Father, God, thank you for this day, for this life, and for this sacred pathway that we are all on. We ask that we continue to open our hearts to divine will and to allow the sacred within us to lead our way. And for this path, we are so very, very grateful. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Lovely. The peace and the essence that we all feel right now with the music, and the message, and the meditation. Just lovely. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know that there was only one power, one presence, and one life. So, whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey of transformation, you are welcome here. If you are new to our ministry and are interested in learning more about our upcoming transformational speakers, workshops, and events, please sign up for our email newsletter by texting Unity Spokane to 22828 or sign up on our website at unityspokane.org. We would also like to connect with you on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search Unity Spiritual Center Spokane, Unity Spiritual Center Spokane, to find us. So now, let's just take a moment to acknowledge and bless one another with a socially distanced namaste greeting. So whether you're here in the sanctuary or at home in your jammies, please feel free to stand up as you are able and send your conscious, loving energy to those around you. Now is our time to celebrate abundance together as we share our gifts and love offerings. For those of you feeling the divine call to financially support our ministry today, you can drop your offering in the glass bowl back at the entrance to the sanctuary. Another option is to text GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 253-528-7416, or visit our website, unityspokane.org, and click the donate button at the top. Please know that all of your giving means so much to the vitality of this wonderful place, to the whole ministry. With that in mind, let us take a moment now to sink into our hearts and bring forth a feeling of gratitude and generosity as we say together our love offering blessing. Together, I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. And now, our chaplains for today are Cheryl, who is holding the virtual service in prayer from her home, and Al at the back of the sanctuary, who is holding the space here. Thank you so much, Cheryl and Al. We'd like to encourage anyone who is in need of prayer support to submit your request through our online form. Simply go to unityspokane.org and click Contact Us. There's a button right on the main page, and you'll be taken to that prayer form. The names are added to our prayer list and prayed over here by 30 days by our prayer ministry as well as Silent Unity. Hey, it is birthday Sunday, and Hank, who just celebrated his birthday last week, we won't say which one it was, will help us celebrate all you April birthdays.
So if you had a birthday in April, would you just please stand up if you're in the sanctuary? Hey, cool. This is me standing up. There you go. All right. So, and if you're at home, so now we have a wonderful, fun video to watch. You know, each of us is a gift to the universe, and your birthday is a good way to celebrate that. We're each a gift from God. So let's celebrate that for each other. Go ahead, Caleb.
It's your birthday. It's the day that you were born. It's the day your mama brought you home. It's a special day. Let us celebrate. Yeah. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. I'm gonna celebrate with you. Time to celebrate. Tell everybody. Come on, y'all. Come on and celebrate on your birthday. Come on, y'all. Hey. And many more.
Okay, I'm a June birthday. I want to see that in June. I love that. Let us all join together now for our closing prayer for protection, followed by the peace song. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth.
Let there
Thank you all for coming. If you're still at home watching, bye-bye. And everybody else, if you could just file on out, you know the drill. Thank you so much.